All right, I'm with you again. This is Antonio the Mayor, Damayor. You can find me on Anchor FM. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on YouTube. Anywhere you find me, like it, subscribe. Dislike it if you don't, but subscribe. That way I'll know that you've been there and you're listening. I know that someone is listening. It's pretty anonymous. No one knows that you said thumbs down. No one knows that you said thumbs up unless you tell me. So just leave it there for me. This is to help me, not to hurt me. And on YouTube, when you subscribe, make sure you leave me a message down there at the bottom and say, hey, I like the show, or whatever you want to say. If you want to be an upcoming guest, all you have to do is send me a message at bigdog0862@me.com. Just send me a message at bigdog0862@me.com. I also have a number that you can call in on. It's 785-307-4662. That's 785-307-4662. And you can call me there. You can leave a message, or you can call and maybe I'll be there to talk to you or something like that. That way you can let me know if you want to be an upcoming guest, if you have a story to tell. Because this is all about experience, strength, and hope. What experience have you went through in your life? How did you gather strength, and where's your hope right now? Where are you going with it? You know, where are you taking this right now? Where is your future? We don't want to live too much in the past. We want to look at the future as better things. I know a lot of things that happened to us in the past year or two, but hey, let's look forward and see what God has planned for us. See what our things are going to be there waiting for us in the future.
Take all of the bad with good. I know a hood where you get popped just for popping the hood. I know some guys nobody gets, just so misunderstood. I know a place where we can go where they wishing you would. Say I gotta take all of the bad with good. I know a hood where you get popped just for popping the hood. I know some guys nobody gets, just so misunderstood. I know a place where we can go where they be wishing you would. Take the good with the bad, right with the wrong. I know some guys make one decision, they ain't coming back home. Got them lost.
Just listen and learn. Just listen and learn. Listen to the music for just a minute. This is Big Bezo. Big Bezo, also known as Christopher Barber, and he's going to be our guest today. Bad with the good. And this is Big Bezo, Chris Barber, who's going to be my guest today. He is an Army veteran, U.S. Army veteran. He is a disabled veteran of the United States Army. He fought in the Gulf War. He fought in Iraq. He's been in the military for quite a long time. He's out now. He's been out for a while now. He is a survivor of the Gulf War. A lot of people didn't make it back, but he did make it back. I want you to listen to him good. As we end the BIPOC Month of Minority Mental Health, the Black Indigenous People of Color Awareness Month for Mental Health, we're going to end it with Chris Barber, who's the voice that you hear right now. And he's going to be coming to you next with me live on the podcast to talk about his experience with mental health, his experience in the Gulf War, and growing up in the state of Mississippi. So listen good and listen well. Thank you very much.
I know a hood where you get popped just for popping the hood. I know some guys nobody gets, just so misunderstood.
My name is Antonio the Mayor, and today I have with me a good friend who I've been knowing since 2013. He's in a relationship with my daughter and treats her well and treats his family well, and a very goal-oriented person. But I'll let him tell you more about all these things. His name is Chris Barber, and I want to introduce you to Chris Barber. How you doing, Chris?
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. Just pretty hot here today. Another 90-degree day, 97 right now, and it's late in the evening, but we can handle it. That's better than 2 or 3 feet of snow for me. Just stay inside. So I know you want to talk about a few things, Chris. Did you want to just start off telling a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Well, like you said, my name's Chris, and I'm born and raised Macon, Mississippi. I have 2 brothers, 1 sister. Pretty much a Southern boy. Military veteran, music major.
Okay. Did I hear somebody else saying something?
Nah.
So what part of Mississippi was it again?
Small Macon, Mississippi is in central Mississippi, right there in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Probably 45 minutes north of Meridian.
Okay. And about how big and how many people?
I know it. The population has increased significantly since I left. I
Oh.
left 2006. I
Mm-hmm.
joined the military back in 2006, and I've been going back and forth there, but I stayed there since '06. Yeah, I think the population is around 3,000 since they did the last census.
Okay. All right. So,
Yeah.
what was it like growing up there?
Well, pretty much, I went to an all-black school,
Mm-hmm.
lived in a black community, really segregated. The blacks stayed on one side of town, white people stayed on the other side, and a lot of the things that people hear about the state is pretty true, as far as like the racism, discrimination, lack of opportunity, like that. Just being a young black male is extremely hard down there to try to make it.
Mm-hmm.
The crab in a bucket effect is in full effect down there, where everybody seems like I wouldn't say haters or nothing like that, but it's more like you know you know it's like they try to hold each other down, and it's real hard to make it out there. If you can make it there, you can make it.
Did you leave there, right? Like at 18, 19, join the military, or you were there for a while?
I was there for a while. I was 23 when I joined the military.
Okay.
Had a few jobs here and there. Found out that like regular work, usually the type of jobs down there that hire is more like a fish processing plant, chicken processing plant.
Okay.
I work
That's some
I work
serious work then, ain't it?
yeah, pretty hard, little pay.
You said something else too. When you talked about it being, I went to all black school, like me, or all black neighborhood. I mean, believe it or not, that's exactly the way Chicago is or was for me when I grew up. Even though it was a major city of millions and millions of people, the Italians stayed together. The Polish stayed in their neighborhood. The blacks, Hispanics, all of them. So when you say Hispanic, you had Puerto Rican there, you had Mexican areas. You had all these areas, but no one really went to anyone else's area that much. With the times that I remember seeing, everyone, like different races and a lot of different races when I would go downtown to the movies. And so a lot of people moved from Mississippi because of the segregation and everything. But they got up north and faced the same thing. It was different. I can't say it was the same thing and it wasn't better because I wasn't there then. And I know nothing can be as bad as being discriminated as it is in places like Mississippi, Louisiana, and Georgia, during those times. So, but a lot of us faced the same things that were placed in these urban developments that they have, but they called them back then were housing projects, So it was kind of hard on them too. So, okay, so you did the military and everything like that, and grew up and anything. What you want to tell me anything about you growing up and how it was in Mississippi and how you wound up in the military, and that way
Yeah,
we can segue into other things too.
yeah. Well, I know as a young when I was a young boy growing up, even just going to school, it was division within the black people too. Not only was it like division amongst blacks and white, it was the division within the black people. Meaning, if you came from a certain neighborhood, you didn't get the opportunities as the other black kids. Pretty much, families who were a little bit more well off than others, their kids got the opportunities. Like I can remember one time where I was trying to get a job at a grocery store, and because I'm from like downtown, the downtown area was considered like mostly the bad area. They call it bad, and they wouldn't give you opportunities. You couldn't
Mm-hmm.
even play sports in school just because of being from that area. They didn't even
Wow.
give you to get to know the person or nothing. They just
Mm-hmm.
label you on where you from. So it's kind of like you were not even given the opportunity to try to succeed. based on where you were from or who you were related to.
I was talking with a young lady yesterday. Did a podcast with 2 days ago, and she said that one of her greatest enemies were her own people.
Yeah.
Family, friends, were her own people that were against her and pulling her down. You know how we are. We hate to see somebody moving forward sometimes, and I don't know, but
You're right. You're right about that. And it's like, not given the proper amount of time, if that even, if there even is a proper amount of time to heal, as Black people being held down for so long and put through those type of situations and not shown the proper way to heal, it get passed down from generation to generation. And I definitely feel a lot of that within me, like seriously.
But I mean, and you're a Black man, so it was taught to us that we didn't talk about these things. We didn't talk about a lot of things. If someone was getting beat in their house, or someone had mental problems, or someone had any type of problem, we did not talk about it outside of each other. People ask me this all the time about why African Americans, Black or BIPOC, whatever you want to call us, don't trust a lot of people or trust a lot of things. But who could we trust? We were taught not to trust. On that subject, okay, let's talk about this depression and anxiety a little bit. I don't know. I know you did. You were in the military. Did you go overseas, any Afghanistan, Iraq, or any of that?
Yeah, I went to Iraq in 2008. Did a year, 12 months over there.
And what was that like?
Well, the area where we were, it was Talia, Iraq, and it was pretty much, I would say, lukewarm. It wasn't cold. It wasn't hot as far as the type of transactions that went on there. It had it had its days where some days, it was quiet. Some days we got rocketed and stuff like that. But I would say just the environment alone was so hard because you're talking about 120 degrees days with all that hot gear on, which adds a large amount of heat to you. Just long sleeves with the helmet and the vest and all that stuff on. So it was real hot, just extremely hot and dry over there. And then you take you can go from 120 degrees in the daytime to like 70 to 80 degrees at night, which is such a drastic drop to your body can't adjust as fast. So it was pretty tough. It was real tough.
Okay. I asked that because of I know the beginning of the first Gulf War, the first part after 9/11, and so many people that had to participate in different ways in these things. And at the time when you're over there, correct me if I'm wrong, you don't have room for anxiety and depression. Those things are not hitting you then when you're on a mission, you're taking care of business. I mean, I know some experience it, but it's not something that you're going to openly go to your first sergeant or your CO and something like, hey, I need to go see somebody today.
Nah, you don't really have time for that because, you're judged based on, the way you react and the way that you carry on. So you don't have much time for self-check, or if you feel like you need someone to talk to, then you're kind of like frowned up on. They say all this stuff about if you need to talk to someone or if you ever in a situation to where you feel like you can't deal with it, then let us know. But the moment you do that, then you're looked at as weak or you can't handle it, or, and you're judged and you're treated as such, like where they may remove you from the mission, but they're going to have you doing something that you absolutely hate based on the way that you handled that situation. You don't have time for self-check to make sure that you're okay. You don't have much time for that.
Yeah, I know. So considering that, when all that's taking place, whether it's a 90-day, 2 years, or a year, in this combat zone or in this area, or it may not be constantly critical. I mean, things happening. But when you are back here, what happened? What do you think happened? I mean, to you, you had friends and everything, to where they're not around that anymore. What happens then?
Once you come back, then they take you through all these classes to, they say, reintegration classes to basically try to calm you down, get you back to the mindset that, hey, you're not in war no more, and you can pretty much put it in cruise control a little bit. But the way that the mind operates, it's like it's not like your feelings is not a switch. You can't turn them on and off. If you've been doing this for 12 months, or either, some people 15 months, it takes a little bit longer to get back to. Honestly, I don't think you will ever be the same person that you were when you went over there, because I know that I wasn't. I came back and I was angry sometimes for no reason, just didn't have any tolerance for any type of nonsense at all, just always serious, because that's how I was for 12 months, always serious, ready for whatever is thrown my way. It's like when you're in the military, you're trying so much to be perfect. You're trying so hard to be perfect. You got to be here on time. You got to be a certain way. And there's like no room for mistakes till it messes you up when you get out or when you get back from combat, because you can't relax. You're always, even when you have like just a regular appointment to go see a doctor, you're rushing to get there on time. If you're running late, then your whole life is falling apart. If something don't go your way, you just can't handle the situation because you're trained to be perfect in an imperfect world.
I don't think a lot of people understand that, and not just for someone who's been in combat, but anyone that deals with anxiety or depression, especially this part right now on anxiety. You hit off on something that if you're late for something or you plan for something that don't go exactly that way, what happens to us? You know what I'm saying? Something happens, something takes place, because it's like that one little thing causes everything else to fall apart. Like you feel that it is going to fall apart. And that's the part. I mean, we face that. A lot of us face it, and we fail to admit it throughout the years that these things that happen. We forget what's happening, that it's other things that's happening that we need professional help with.
You're right about that. It's when it comes to mental health and just, dealing with the mind and, trying to get ourselves trying to get in basically trying to put our mind at ease I feel like me personally, I know I have to go see somebody. I have to talk to someone, because I don't have the power to, I just don't have the experience or the power to, turn it off, like to, relax and stuff. And these people are trained to do that.
Right.
But like you said, like even like in the black neighborhood, it's kind of like frowned upon. Like, when you see someone, like even back in the day, probably like when you was younger or something, you see someone who had like mental issues or just, just been through too much, then, the stigma that, he's crazy.
Right, we'll say he crazy or something.
Yeah, frowned upon, and we just not, I guess we're not comfortable dealing with those type of situations or admitting that, hey, there's something wrong. I need to go see someone.
And the thing that you said, it's not just the black, like the neighborhood and stuff like that. It starts within the family. The family are usually the ones that think that, hey, you tell them, say like Uncle so-and-so, he ain't got it all. He needs this, let him stay in the room all his life, and we'll take care of him and get money for him or something, but don't want to trust. Now, we do have problems. It's the reasons why we don't trust health care, as African American people, and and it's the reason why we don't have. Some of us don't have health care. It could be because of poverty, but we don't want to hear someone else say bipolar or manic depression, however they used to say it, and depression, anxiety, or PTSD. You don't want to hear. Now, PTSD is one that's becoming more regular. Now sometimes everybody that you turn around and say that, even make a joke about having PTSD, but they don't know what it is when somebody really has the experience of PTSD from where they get triggered by different things. They don't understand bipolar, where you may be on a mountaintop for 3 or 4 days and then you're in a valley for a week or so. You're just fighting back and forth, up and down. So let me ask you a question. What, with the anxiety and stuff like that, what type of things, other things have you experienced, and what type of coping skills had you had to use for yourself?
Okay. Yeah, with my situation, I have like panic attacks, like where, and there's no, like for mine, there's no warning signs or anything. It's just my very first one I had. I think it was November of 2020. I was Kim was at Walmart, and I was at home, and I'm sitting on the back, and next thing you know, I just get this weird feeling just coming over me, just comes over me real quick, and next thing I stood up. And I'm fighting for my breath all of a sudden. I can't breathe. It's like I'm my mind telling me I can't breathe. So I'm just taking deep breaths. My heart started racing real fast, like rapid heartbeats. And my mind is just all over the place. I'm scared. Don't know what to do because I've never been in any type of situation like this. It just took me to a place I've never been before. And I called Kim and I was like, you need to hurry up and come back. Something's wrong with me. I don't know what's going on, and I'm studying, like gasping for air, like I can't breathe. But the whole time it's just my mind, like kind of like playing tricks on me. That was the very first time I had the anxiety attack. And the second time I was at work at the VA, and I found out that certain things trigger it through that because I was eating real greasy food. I was eating like some onion rings and some real greasy chicken wings at the same time. I get finished eating and I start to walk back up towards where I work at. I get down this long hall and the same thing hit me. Next thing you know, I'm fighting for my breath. My heart starts speeding up. My head started feeling real funny. So I get back to where I work at, and I told the nurse, I was like, man, something ain't right. I think I need to. Honestly, I thought I was having like COVID. Like I thought it was like COVID. I was like, man, I think I need to go get tested for COVID because I just had like an episode of something. I don't know what's going on. So they checked my blood pressure. Blood pressure had went up and everything. And once I told the nurse what all happened, she was like, you had a panic attack.
Right.
And it's my second time having it. So mine, they just come on like with no warnings or nothing. But I did a little bit of research. I found out like sugar, caffeine, like real greasy food and stuff like that. And also the lack of sleep can trigger it to cause you to have like panic and anxiety attack. I just get like real anxious, just fighting for my breath. Heart speeds up, my head be kind of like spinning and my mind be racing. And that's pretty much what I go through. I go to I talk to a doctor, talk to a psychiatrist, and he basically gave me this app that I use to calm me down and stuff.
Okay.
Controls. They always try to give you medication, but I've denied time.
So you haven't taken the medication?
No, at all. They give it to me.
Because some people do. Some people can use it, especially not the just the daily medication, but some that take it. You can take some. I know one of them is lorazepam for the moment that you're having that attack. You understand what I mean? That some people would have the moment because I've had panic attacks, and one thing that you cannot explain is the feeling. I listened to you try to explain, and I would kind of say, yep. And that people do not know that certain foods can trigger that.
It does. Yes,
the way your body is metabolizing it. Some of these things, it could trigger that. And it's that feeling of thinking that you can't, even though you're breathing, you think you're not breathing. You think your heart is beating 1,000 miles an hour, no control of your body, and the feeling of hopelessness. And I don't know if you know about the hopelessness part, that like, this is it. This is the end. This is gone, Yeah.
especially when it's happening, like the moment that you're actually just going through it. You're like, man, I just know it's a feeling that I wouldn't wish it on my enemy, because
Mm-hmm.
it's just something that's just, it just, like you say, it just takes over.
Yeah. Now that's the panic part of it. Now
Yeah,
that
it's,
other part, that when we get to the depression, that's a whole nother ball game.
I'm telling.
Because it involves so much. Then because you can tell people I'm having a panic attack, I'm anxiety. They might say, "Oh, okay, well you're gonna be all
Mhm.
right. Just calm down." But when you tell somebody that I'm depressed, I feel worthless, I don't even want
Yeah,
to be here, that's when the red flags go off in everybody
it
else's
really.
head.
You're right. I've had those moments where I just feel like, man, I was going through where I had to go to the hospital one
Uh huh.
time because I didn't know it, but my blood pressure was up like probably like 3 4 days. Like it never did go down, and I just felt awful. Just felt bad. I was like, man, it just feel like it ain't gonna get no better. But I didn't know when I felt hopeless. I didn't know what it was. That's what
Mm-hmm.
had me feeling like, man, I don't know if I can get through this or not, because I didn't know what it was. But when I went to the doctor, and then they checked my blood pressure, heart rate was up a
Yeah.
little bit, and they put me on high blood pressure medication and stuff. And probably like after a little while, 3 4 days, I became better, stuff like that. But during the time that I didn't know what it was like, man, I don't think this is going to, get better. So it puts you in that hopeless state.
That's it. And that feeling, I know that feeling well. Thank God for people explaining it to you, and family and loved ones. But sometimes they don't understand. The sorrow. I mean, you can be sitting around watching TV or doing something, working in the garage or outside mowing the lawn, and that feeling just hits you for no reason at all.
Yeah,
People always think is that you start thinking about something really sad or anything like that, but it's not. It's not because always you start thinking about something sad. It's just happens from nowhere.
yeah, just up on you.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It just comes from nowhere. And I'm glad that I've learned different types of coping skills or different types of skills to help me not just change my way of thinking, but to help pull myself up out of this.
Yeah, definitely. Because without those, without without having those skills, or developing those skills, or having someone teach it to you, I honestly don't know where I would be if I didn't have that.
I know what you
Like, see,
mean. Because I mean, most people try to self-medicate, and one thing we found out through years, the doctors would tell you, but we still think different. Is that like alcohol? If you're depressed, just have a few drinks. But alcohol is a depressant too, so it makes you
it
more
makes
depressed. you know,
yeah,
You-
it makes it worse.
it makes you really happy for a few minutes, and then the depression, it may not come until the next day or later that evening, but then that feeling of
It's gonna hit
worthlessness,
you hard.
it comes back.
Yeah,
So
it does. It
one
does.
thing you mentioned first, I think you mentioned the VA and everything like that. I hear a lot of people struggling. I mean, you hear some people brag about how much percent they're getting, but it's a lot of. It took them a long time to get that way. It took them a
Yeah,
long time to get where they are today, and some that just refuse to take it at all because they get frustrated. I know you got to go through a three. I ain't gonna see even three. That might have been about 13-page applications and questionnaires. And the questionnaires they send you, then they send out another questionnaire that's the same as the last questionnaire. You keep
yeah,
filling out the same things over and over again. It's almost like a thing to set up to help you say no and quit. And you
yeah.
get those no's. You get those no's, and they tell you got a year to reapply or something like that. But that process is kind of hard. Did that weigh you down sometime, or did it?
Yeah, it's I think it's designed like that by on purpose,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really repetitive. The same
Mm-hmm.
things, asking you the same questions in different ways. Though they rewording it, but basically the same thing. And for a person who's actually going through like depression, anxiety, and you don't really have like you don't really want to deal with that type of stuff. You know, that's why a lot of people, they'll pay someone else to do their paperwork for them or something like that, because it really irritates you. Like
Yeah.
it really, and some people just they really don't have the ability to get through it.
Right.
They just don't.
Well, Chris, you know, the name of this program is Experience Strength and Hope. So where's the hope? You know, because people, a lot of time, we've been through, and I can probably explain some of mine, but I won't take up your time. But the experience that we've went through in the past, and the strength we gain in it, and now we have hope. Or what hope do we have? Or what hope do you have? Or what hope does someone else have? You know, by the things. You know, by a person that has bipolar, or depression, anxiety, PTSD. Some people may think they're going to have to be down and out or messed up the rest of their life. They can still, it's a way that they can balance this, and it's the way that we can live with this thing. Just like we live with diabetes, we live with heart problems, we live with gout or whatever else, we can learn to live with this, you know, with any mental problem. So what do you think? What's the hope for us now?
I think the hope is for them to just know that they're not the only one dealing with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always good to have someone who understands your situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are so many programs and organizations out there for people who are dealing with, you know, pretty much any problem you name. There's some type of help. I feel like as Black people, we have to put our pride aside and go. Because at the end of the day, it's all about trying to make yourself feel better. Who cares what anyone else thinks about? Okay, they can say you're crazy, or they can say, you know, whatever about you. It's all the ultimate goal should be to try to get help so that you can feel better. So it's always good to be around positive people, you know, people that understand your situation, and just, I know, just dealing with this stuff myself, it feels good to know that someone cares. You know, I have somebody that got my back, and when I'm not feeling my best, or when I'm going through something, I have someone to talk to, explain my situation. And also, I feel like a lot of my anxiety was passed down from my mom, you know, and I know that she dealt with a lot. And, you know, from abuse also. She had an abusive husband. He did all types of things to her. And I was the last child she had. I'm the baby. So I felt like I caught the bulk of all of her problems as far as like stress. And my mom never went to talk to any. She never discussed her situation or what she was going through. She just held all that in. And eventually it got the best of her. They say pressure bust pipe. Well, that pressure really did bust her. Like it really did. And I feel like if she had got help, or had someone who understood her situation and to help her get through her situation, it would have, I feel like my stress and stuff anxiety wouldn't be so bad. So I'm saying that to say that if there's someone that's out there dealing with that type of woman or man, it doesn't matter, to please go get help, because it not only affects you, it affects your family, it affects your offspring. It has an impact on everyone that's involved with you.
Wow, that's good. That's good stuff, Chris. You really hit on it, because, you know, one that you said, like, we got to move past, you know, move past shame and stigma, you know, move past the fact that you got to admit to someone that you have a problem. And then, you know, not being reluctant to ask for help, you know, because I think that's one of the bigger things too. We so strong, or want to be strong, and sometimes it's reluctant. It may be embarrassment too, you know, that you don't want to tell someone that you need help. I tell my wife some of the things that go on with me, and I know she don't understand them. But she's there to help, you know. But I can talk to someone else with the same problem, or have been close to the same problem, and they understand it. That makes me feel good. So it's good to have, you know, different strengths in different areas and stuff like that. But I could talk my wife's ears off about it, but she's not going to understand it. So you have to, like you said, you have to find someone, you know, seek out some help, you know, to to talk to. And that one, we can't be too embarrassed. And I think as a people, we are getting better at this, is saying that I see a therapist. I see a psychiatrist. My psychiatrist said this, to not be embarrassed about it. And I think the more we talk about it, the more someone else can receive help, instead of, I grew up in neighborhoods where men lived on the street, women lived on the street, walk around talking to themselves. And what did we say? They was crazy. They was a drunk. Yeah. They out there because they're crazy. But to see them walking around talking to themselves and having a different personality, so I grew up seeing that and people laughing at it and thinking it was funny, throwing rocks at them and stuff, not knowing what that person is going through. Today, we have, we are more acceptable of people with these problems. If we could teach law enforcement more about it, when they go to deal with people with problems like that, then we'll be on the one. And I think slowly but surely, we are trying to teach law enforcement to accept, to learn about our mental health of mentally ill community out there. And so, I thank you, Chris. I think you did.
I feel like we hit on very, but I just want to say one more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
To the people that are not, are not dealing with it, just try to be understanding to those who are. And a lot of times, even if you don't understand the situation, it's very helpful. It's very helpful to just listen. A lot of times, we only need you to just listen, even if you don't understand the situation. Just listen, and that'll make it easier on the person. I have something else that I want to ask you.
Okay.
I just want to ask you. Me and Kim, we've been together for a long time, and I just want to ask you for her hand in marriage.
What? Of course, yes. You're a good son-in-law. You'd be good. You already been like a son-in-law, even though it's not legally. Yes.
Yeah. Pretty much, we just want to go ahead on and make it official,
Oh yeah, I would love that.
It means a lot to me to get your blessing. Yeah,
you got my blessing, bro. You know that, yeah. Kim, you still there?
I'm here.
Okay. Yes, of course. I'm really happy for both of you guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys. All right. Thank you for listening. I'm glad that you tuned in today to listen from the beginning to the end, and I appreciate that. Now, if you want to reach me, you can reach me at bigdog0862@me.com. bigdog0862@me.com. That's my email address. You can also reach me by phone at 785-307-4662. You can leave a message there. You can reach me on the internet. Just type my name into any search engine. And the way you do that is just type in Antonio the Mayor Timms. Antonio the Mayor Timms. Most of all, appreciate when you listen on YouTube, because you can leave a message there. You can leave a thumbs up or a thumbs down. You can leave a like or dislike. You can leave a comment. But most of all, you can subscribe. So please continue to listen to me and continue to support this show that focuses on experience, strength, and your hope. Thank you. Have a good day. Be blessed, be nice, but be real most of all.